I tell you, for some reason today, the connection is just so poor. I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to try to get it done. I'm not going to let it dampen my spirit of saying this needs to be heard about tell. And so when we go back to where we were before we finished, we talked about transcribe and how transcribing really looks at changing what somebody may think or they may not know over to where they can understand it. That would be to transcribe. And then we talked about elucidate. That's the last one. That is the last one, which is to make clear and explain. And we want to be clear. We want to be able to explain who we are versus what somebody else says about us. And so we talk about to explain, to illuminate, to clarify, to clear up, to clean up, to unravel, to resolve, to untangle. All those things speak to what elucidate does. And so I understand. I try to be as clear as I can every time I'm on, or every time I'm even talking with people on Facebook, or even if I write someone a comment. I try to be as clear as I possibly can. And the last letter in tell is for liaison. And you ask yourself, well, why would liaison be there? Because liaison, sometimes you can't have other people standing for you. You may have to be your own liaison between what other people think and what someone else on the other side needs to know, especially if they're interpreting your story versus you telling your own story. So it says liaison is the communication or cooperation which facilitates a close working relationship between people or organizations. And so once again, that just puts it right back to where it belongs. It's the connection between what you want to be known versus what somebody else may be trying to say about you. Then it talks about the actual communication. It's the association with something or someone or ones. It may be other people involved. And then it's a collaborative part, looking at the whole concept of what you're doing when you've become, in a position to discuss yourself. That puts yourself in a position of, hey, look, I don't know my story. I can tell my own story. Then you become the liaison between what somebody else was saying and what you know to be true. And it doesn't always pan out the way we like it, but it is what it is. Hey, Marisa, hanging in there. So we really want to talk also the other L, legacy. Legacy, it says it's the amount of money or property left to someone in a will. Now, the reason I wrote legacy down there, because legacy is that important, is because it really talks about what's left. What is left? Leaves. And to me, once I'm gone, good morning, Janice again, I want my essence once I'm gone to with what I did for others. Okay, I don't want it just to be that that I like to sing, I like to write, I'm this, I'm that. I want it to be that I was kind to people, that people enjoyed my presence. And so in order to really have to because a lot of times people don't know all that you do. But it's like this morning. I don't know why I joined to be a Rotarian, but this is my the end of this year. I think October, 3 years, and I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed the whole concept of service over self. Now that will be a part of my legacy. I wanted that to be there. I wanted that I help people. And I don't just help there, I help other places. And you don't have to even tell it. But the point is that if people see you doing it and they getting something, not that's your appreciation. That's the knowledge. That's the knowledge. But anyway, in terms of the questions I have for today, and yes, the devil is so busy, it just frustrated me, but I refuse. I refuse, I refuse. But anyway, the question says, what legacy are you creating and leave to your family? And will you tell your story or will you have other people make up a story? That's a big question. Because even with you telling your story, it doesn't say that people won't make up a story. Some people are just busy like that. That's their busy, is to make sure that they have something to say, you know. Number 2, it says, will you translate or transcribe your tell all to shed light on what your story truly is? Will you transcribe it? Will you, basically tell them what it is? That's why I do believe in journaling. And if it's journaling for personal stuff, then when I go down, that'll go down. Such as if it's just for me to talk about a hurt that I don't necessarily to know about, then that was just for me to get over the hurt. But it doesn't mean for me to publicize the hurt. So that hurt may be, shredded and burned in the backyard. Now, I ain't burned nothing in the backyard, afraid of everything back there. But anyway, that's basically how I would look at that. Number 3, it says, will you elucidate, which is to make clear, your story and tell the details that explain who you really are while you are living? Because a lot of times people don't know us until after, we're gone. I remember some movie I watched, and I think it was about a performer, an artist, and at the funeral, and all the women came that were married to him. He never divorced anybody. He just married everybody that he loved. And so at the funeral, when they announced his funeral, there were like 4 or 5 women that came. So therefore, nobody really knew his story, but it came out in his legacy. It came out. He didn't have to tell it. It told on him once he left here. And so that's why I ask you, are you going to be able to tell your story before you leave here and make it clear as to who you are and what you're doing? Or will you wait until after, or will the story wait to be exposed after you leave here? Number 4, will you be your own liaison, or will your story be told, or recalled by, for you? Will that happen? And if that's so, that would be interesting. That would be very, very interesting. The next one is my daughter bugging me. The next one is, what legacy will you tell? Will you give the bad and the good? Or will you just give the good? And some bad needs to be told, such as, if you had to file for bankruptcy, that's a bad. If you've lost a house before, that's a bad. But it just talks about your resilience, especially if you recovered. It talks about who you are. The fact that you changed from what was to something else that was better. And so therefore that's a good thing. So those are those questions. But I have one other set of questions that I wanted you all to think about that I liked. And it says, in 25 years, now I don't know where I'll be in 25 years. I got to tell you, my mom lived to be 90, almost 95, my grandmother 96, and my auntie on my dad's side 104. So I don't know. Maybe I'll still be around here creeping. And by that time, somebody else will probably be telling my story because I probably won't remember it. But anyway, it says, in 25 years after my death, that means you, what, if anything, will those beyond my family remember me for? Meaning, if you've stayed around a long time, what will anybody know you for? We don't know. We don't know. But anyway, that's a question. It says, and if I had to give everything I own to a cause, not a person, a cause, what cause would I give my things to? Hey, T, you're back. What cause would I give things to if I had to give everything I have away? What cause? Not a person. Number 3, it says, if I could snap my fingers and acquire an experience or a talent, it would be what talent and what for? If I snap my fingers and acquire an experience or a talent, it would be what would it be and what would it be for? That's deep. That's deep. I think if I were to answer that question, I have the talent, I just haven't had the exposure. I would probably try to be a professional singer, but I would sing for causes. I would sing for for freedoms, and I would sing for cures. I would sing for continued women's rights. I would do those kinds of things. So if y'all got the hookup, let me know. But those are pretty much all I had today. And I don't know why the devil wouldn't let me stay where I usually am, but today he just decided he was gonna be a bad thing and make me move from my place. But it says, I'm going to read this poem again for those who came late, because I do believe it's a good poem. And it says, tell all truth, but tell it slant. And that is, don't tell your truth, but maybe don't put all of your name in it, or all of what the entire, issues were. Tell some of it, but not all of it. And that's by Emily Dickinson. It says, tell the truth, but tell it slant. Success in circuit lies, too bright for our infirm delight. The truth's superb surprise. As lightning to the children eased, with explanation kind, the truth must dazzle gradually, or every man be blind. And to me that poem says a lot. It's like everyone's not supposed to know everything about you, but some of the things that you want them to be remembered for, then you can tell it, and tell it your way, and don't let people just make up stories about who you were. Because as I said, if you start the little telephone game and you start the story here, when the story ends up, it's totally a different story. So very much, I guess a new conception of who you were, not necessarily yours. But I want you all to tell your story. You can write it down. You can really look to it as a way to address, are you stuck? And yes, we are periodically all stuck. I was stuck on trying to get through this lesson today on tell, because it didn't want me to tell it for some reason. But I feel good about the results. I appreciate all those who stopped by and visited with me, and I really appreciate the ones that came all 3 times that I was cut off. But I want to tell you that I do love you. I'm hoping that you will have a wonderful day. Be safe. Corona is still out there. Do not be senseless about going out without a covering and gloves, but try to take care of yourselves. And I'll see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you for stopping by. Bye-bye.